That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, welcome back. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
I've been here the whole time. I welcome you back.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed your time off. I don't know if it's been raised. I'm ashamed to say I'm just tuning in now, but I don't know if it's been raised. Isn't it weird how every time you go away, all hell breaks loose? No, you went away in November, remember? And the Quebec Liberal Party drove off a cliff like Thelma and Louise. And then you go off, and now we get President Crazy Pants doing a smash and grab, grabbing the president of Venezuela, and then pretending he owns the country. So, yeah, but apart from that, everything's just fine.
Pretty much the same, yeah. It's been that kind of a year. Let's hope 2026 isn't, although, you know what, it makes for great radio, so maybe I should keep our fingers collectively crossed that we keep having news. Did you, by the way, were you away at all over the holidays, or do you tend to stay at home?
No, I worked right through.
Okay.
We never closed.
Okay. I hope you had a chance to enjoy yourself nonetheless. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Of
course I did.
Yeah, let me begin by talking about Charles Milliard. He's actually going to be on the show tomorrow afternoon. This is, I want to say, not a very well-kept secret. I mean, he was the first thing we all came up with as soon as we knew Pablo Rodriguez had decided to step down. So does this turn into a race, Jim, or is this, as you're sort of suggesting here, is it better off for the Liberals to simply go ahead and say he's the best guy, let's have our coronation?
I would say with the way the brain trust over at the Quebec Liberals have been handling things. I'm not talking about that Rodriguez. I'm talking about this entire leader selection. We're going to take 2 years. We'll take our time. I think, metaphorically speaking, there are a lot of Quebecers who are looking at their watch, waiting for the Liberals to get their act together. Listen, it's a democracy, and the rules are there. They even hired a special ethics monitor, Aaron, to make sure everything's above board in the next leadership race. But quite frankly, I think unless you've got, if you want to throw down the $30,000, if you want to have the debates and this and that, but you know what? Time is money. Everything's going on. Milliard came in just after Rodriguez in the race. I have a thinking suspicion a lot of people, even if they want to, will just stand down. The other thing as well is I think they really have to move quickly. If there's any bad blood over what happened to Mr. Rodriguez, I think that has to be staunched as quickly as possible. Bridges have to be rebuilt, fences mended, a united party shown quickly. So honestly, if by, I guess, mid-February, when the nomination process ends, if Monsieur Milliard is the only guy standing, tant mieux for the Quebec Liberal Party, and quite frankly, tant mieux for Quebec, simply because we are going to have what would appear to be a divided, focused party, and a guy who, this is long before any of the problems with Rodriguez happened, that I had met, this is the guy, this was like the perfect candidate. This was the guy who comes from the region, utterly bilingual, not afraid to believe in a product called Canada, unapologetically federalist, and not, some Montreal guy, or God help us, more accurately, some West Island, yet another West Island guy coming in to sort of like be the face of the Liberal Party. So here we are at a crossroads for this party, and please don't be surprised. I mean, I'm not trying to stomp on democracy here, but don't be surprised if nobody else throws their hat in, Aaron. As I say, the clock is ticking, and this party, I really think this is the absolutely last chance the Liberals have to pull it out of the fire. And I'm not just talking about an election victory. I'm talking about this party having a future in Quebec.
So let me ask a question which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with this, but, you brought up Pablo Rodriguez, and that's what precipitated this whole thing.
Yeah.
If we go to October, right, coming into our election provincially, people have to remember, Pablo Rodriguez never won a seat, right? He kind of came in from Ottawa, left the federal Liberals. Does he run as a Liberal in the next provincial election?
Pablo Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Oh, anything's possible, Aaron, but I should be very, very surprised if that to occur, given the amount of, how can I put it, controversy that has surrounded his stewardship of the party. He left the Liberal Party. He says he wants to help the Liberal Party. I don't see how running a game and redirecting or resuming all that attention, all the regurgitation of all the stuff. Listen, Milliard's going to have his work cut out for him. As I mentioned last month, the headlines from the Bureau d'Enquête are not going to stop. The examination of what was happening in the back rooms of the Quebec Liberal Party is not going to stop simply because Pablo Rodriguez is gone.
Right.
That coverage will continue. If we're not seeing headlines right now, Aaron, it's because everybody is getting back from vacation. But the fact of the matter is, expect more bombshells, and perhaps the artillery is going to be trained to land closer to February than away from it. But I'd be very, very surprised if we're not going to be hearing more controversies about the Liberal Party per se. Perhaps not M. Milliard. But listen, maybe that'll be good training for him as well. If he winds up as the leader, he's going to have to learn to deal with it. He's going to have to cut the cord with a heritage which, rightly or wrongly, has seen the Quebec Liberal Party become synonymous with or perceived corruption. And the chance, as I say, for the party to pull it out of the fire is here, it's now, and I don't think they're going to get another one, Aaron. So the bottom line here is let's wait until the dust settles. But I think the last thing the Liberals need right now is another leadership race, or debates, more controversy. And you know, and I know, and a lot of our listeners know, that this party has a tradition of shivving. You know, it factionalizes, and it has a tradition of a relatively recent tradition of shivving leaders that it doesn't like. So we'll see how that plays out as well. But I think the bottom line is he's going to have his work cut out for him. But get it over with, rip the Band-Aid off, reestablish discipline in the party, unity in the party, and job one is not just fighting, but winning the next election.
Yeah, and to your point, by the way, Jim, right? The good move, go ahead and appoint an ethics person as well, right? That had to be done, and it was done right away.
Yeah, but I mean, listen to ourselves talk about this. We were saying we had to appoint a guy to make sure nobody cheated.
Yeah, well, okay.
It's like, oh, okay. Normally, the presumption is in a political party, people will play by the rules of that political party.
Really?
And not engage in perhaps not, if not illegal, then perhaps questionable practices. And we sort of had an example of that during. After the leadership campaign, paying for votes. Oh, it's not illegal. It's illegal now, by the way. But the fact is, I think, as we say in these parts, for the foreseeable future, the Liberals are going to have to be more Catholic than the Pope. So you know what I mean? It's going to be, everything is going to be so squeaky clean. It's not even going to be funny.
All right, let's move on to the second headline here, which is let's stop talking about negotiations, quote, of any kind with the U.S. In relation to what here, Jim?
In relation to the fact that, we said it before, Donald Trump is a certifiable lunatic. But what's driving me crazy, actually, that's one of two things today that are driving me crazy. I'll try to get to the second one before we go. The first, Donald Trump, what's he going to do? He doesn't have a plan. He abducted the president of Venezuela, and he says he's going to run the country. How exactly is he going to do that? Because he's left the dictatorship there. And, theoretically, well, if they don't, they'll play ball, we'll do the same. Really? You'll keep abducting them? One after another until they do your bidding. Listen, everyone's walking on eggshells. Even when people are going after Carney for what he said about the sort of very lukewarm reaction to Trump's rather clumsy coup. But the fact of the matter is, whether it's Mark Carney or any other head of state, although the Europeans seem to be getting a little ornery, but the idea that your main foreign policy objective when dealing with the United States is you don't want to piss off a crazy guy. So you got to be careful what you say. And that's exactly true. I mean, we have no idea from one day to the next what this guy is going to do. Is he going to invade Greenland? Is he going to invade Canada? I mean, we're having this at like a normal conversation as if this is a normal situation. And by God, it isn't. But all of that said, imagine now, we have to negotiate a free trade agreement with the U.S. Good luck with that.
By the way, I got to tell you, I love your Donald Trump voice when you do your Donald Trump voice. That's really, really very, very interesting take. Listen, the whole idea here, to your point, and I was talking to someone from McGill earlier, we just ran out of time. Your idea, and this has to be something, and I realize we don't have an idea what's going on, but then again, the concern is the president doesn't either. But this whole idea of regime change, which is how these things have played out historically, right? All they've done is they've, to your point, removed the president. And the person now running the government was his vice president. Yeah. She's from the same regime. What could you possibly expect to see change? I don't get it.
Nothing. He thinks maybe it'll change, but the fact of the matter is, even if, and a lot of people say it was an inside job, Aaron, but even if it was an inside job, there are a lot of people in the streets of Caracas and in Venezuela who support Maduro, rightly or wrongly. And guess what? They have guns, and they don't care what Donald Trump has to say.
Okay. And again, with respect to the stability or I don't know, in the rest of that region, I think that's fair game as well, right? It needs to be asked. We already know
like
that,
everything else,
yeah.
you know, Donald Trump has been credited with awakening Canadians to their sense of nationalism, with awakening Europeans to their sense of self and the importance of NATO.
Yeah.
Look what he's doing right now. He's got heads of state in South America suddenly speaking as one, saying, I would not recommend you try this in my country.
All right. Listen, as I said, developing story. It's nowhere near the end, so we'll have to wait and see. Can I get your take on this was my question to start the show today, Jim. I'm going to get back to this in a sec. This decision by the Quebec government to all of a sudden let kids in school, starting now, their first week back after the holidays, no, they have to refer to their teachers, et cetera, as sir, madam, vous, not sir. You know, I asked our listeners earlier in the show, and I think a lot of people are on board. It's just a question of should the government have been the one to do this, to initiate this? What do you think?
Well, the government's in charge of education, overall standards of education, and administrating the education system in Quebec. So that's pretty much their job. And honestly, you're talking to a guy, and you too. But you know, we went to school at a time when corporal punishment still existed.
Yeah.
You know, you could get flogged. You know. And the idea of saying sir and ma'am, and you know, it was always I think it was a little different because we don't have that nuance that you have in French between vous and tu.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's a matter of you respected the teacher, even if the teacher was. And we had situations, and when I was growing up, where there were people who shouldn't even have been within 1,000 yards of the school who were teaching. But that said, they were there, and you had to respect them, and that was it. You know, so the idea now that some sense of order, you know, you're going there to learn stuff, right? You got plenty of friends. You want to talk to your friends, go out on recess, okay? But frankly, I don't think a teacher should be the person who guides you, your guide, your mentor. And if you have a kind of, you know, amicable relation with them, that's fine. But I don't want my teacher. None of my teachers were ever my buddy. I had some great teachers who really helped me in my life, but none of them I would describe as my friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? There was always that formality, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why it worked.
But, you know, my issue is not with them deciding to do this. It's like, couldn't the teachers and administrators on their own have done this? And where are parents? Anyway, I don't want to get into this because we're not going to have time.
But you know, the other thing, to be fair, at least in the French sector, okay, the government took over everything. There are no school boards. The parents have zero input. It's a bunch of bureaucrats.
Yeah.
Who are in charge of the French sector.
Okay.
I mean, hey, the next time you have Joe Ortona on, ask him those questions. But I can tell you, as someone who went through that system back in the day, I'm not horrified to see this change.
By the way, for younger listeners who are worried when Jim said back in the day when we were in school at the same time you could get flogged, he doesn't mean actually flogged. No one got flogged, just in case anybody's freaking out. We would get the strap or you get a ruler or whatever, but yeah, there was no flogging going on.
Okay.
Just in case, Jim, you know?
Okay, so let me get this straight. You're just making sure people understand we were beaten, but we want to make sure what the tool was.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yeah, getting the belt on your hand does not equate to flogging is what I'm trying to say. Right. That's all. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Unless Jim went to a very different school. James Mennie, Jim, thank you.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.